Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I am Ladina Bolton, the Commissioner for Super District 7 and also the Chair for the ERPS Committee, Employee Relations and Public Safety. Our other committee members are Commissioner Shakira Johnson and Commissioner Marita Davis Johnson. Also joining us today, we have Commissioners Ted Terry and Commissioner Robert Patrick. At this time, we're going to go ahead and get started. We do have a couple presentations today, but hopefully we can get through them. So have committee members had an opportunity to review the minutes?
Yes, ma'am. At this time, I move to approve item 2025-0929.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that item carries. We're going to move into our pension board discussion if everybody has the packet with the scores and comments. Have all commissioners had an opportunity to review it? Because we would like to hear feedback from you guys if you have any of it. But we can start with committee members, or Commissioner Shakira Johnson, did you have any comments regarding the final scores?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. I just want to thank the committee, staff, and everyone who we interviewed. We had a lot of great candidates. It was kind of a hard decision because we had such varied candidates to...
Amazing candidates.
Yeah, we really did. So the scoring sheet really did help. Thank you for that, Marcus. I think I'm comfortable with the top scorer and moving forward with them. So I'd love to hear what others have to say.
And just as a reminder to everybody, over the past month, we have had 7 candidates. We interviewed 3 previous meeting and 4 prior to that. And so we did have a rubric from which we scored. We asked all of the candidates the same questions. We had a rubric from which we scored that included comments. And so Mr. Allen did an amazing job of keeping us on track, codifying the comments and scorecards. And so today he's provided the final scores, and I'll kind of just read through those really quickly, just for record or for anybody watching. The top 3 candidates scored very closely together. And so the I'll just talk about the top candidate at this time. Mr. Eric Atwater scored especially well. He seemed to have some fresh ideas and talked about some things that weren't mentioned from others. He had global, local, national, and statewide experience that I think we could extract some ideals from and bring them to the board to get their wheels rolling, to kind of introduce some new things, and even discussed some potential opportunities to maybe work with some of the students in the area to give them some financial education. I believe he had said he had some projects with the colleges locally. And so he just came off as someone who had a lot to offer, was familiar with DeKalb, but had a lot more to offer if we were willing to be open-minded and think beyond what we've been doing currently in order to kind of move us forward in the direction that we're looking to go. Did you want to add anything to that?
No, I think that's a fair assessment of what he could bring to the pension board. Again, we had a lot of strong candidates, but he was exceptionally strong.
Okay. Were there any other comments or remarks from other commissioners that you would like to add to the discussion?
Just a reminder, these candidates were recommended by commissioners, or they were knowledgeable about this and just wanted to get involved on their own action?
I don't think we had any recommendations from commissioners. From what I recall, they came from either county employees who had familiarity or persons on the pension board. We even had a former commissioner who was familiar to come in and interview. So from a variety of different places, but none from the BOC in particular.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other question or comments about the candidates or the process for a pension board?
I guess if you don't mind me asking, Madam Chair, one more question.
Mm-hmm.
So how was the criteria again put together for the ranking? And I'm assuming it was central staff that did the ranking, but.
Yes, so central staff put the rubric together for us based on other templates that were available but made specific to the pension board. And we did talk to board members, including Mr. Wall, to ask what the requirements are, what recommendations are, qualifications for the candidates. So the questions, as well as the rubric, were based specifically off what our needs were to see how closely they could help us meet them. And then the ranking system was 1 to 5, 5 being higher up, 1 being lower on the totem pole. But we also had opportunities to put comments where we ranked them in order to give more, a greater explanation on why we ranked the way we did.
And the committee members, with the exclusion of Commissioner Marita Davis Johnson, who recused herself, were the ones who did the ranking.
And those scores were summed. Any other questions or concerns? All right, if not, are you ready to make a motion?
Yes. And make sure I make the motion correctly, Mr. Allen, so make sure I wordsmith this right. At this time, I move to approve the recommendation of Mr. Eric Atwater as the pension board final candidate.
Second, all in favor? Aye. All right, recommendation for approval carries. Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move along to the E911 response time update. Good afternoon, Director.
Good afternoon. Yes. Good afternoon, Commissioners. We just wanted to provide an update of the response times as well as the implementation of the new phone system. So I'll start with what we provide, what service we provide each of the 12 cities and what they provide for themselves. So of course, as you can see, we provide police, fire, EMS, dispatch, as well as E911 to a majority of the cities, so Mountain, Pine Lake, Avondale, Estates, Clarkson, and so on. And then other parts of DeKalb, we, and the other cities, we provide either EMS, fire, or some variation of. So just to kind of give an overview so everyone knows what service we provide to each city. We also wanted to touch on staffing. From the time that I became the director in December of 2023, we started off with 89 positions. 89 of 130 funded positions were filled. We've worked hard to recruit and retain a majority of those employees. And at the end of 2024, we had 126 of 130 funded positions filled, and we currently maintain 126 of 130 positions filled through a lot of hard work and ensuring that we're retaining the employees that we have. And any vacancies we are literally filling as soon as we have our next academy or class, next hiring class. So with that, we've done things to retain since I've been in this position. So we initially did the 15% raise for all the communications officers, 10% raise for all other staff members. We increased their starting pay to $46,800. And we also had the cost of living increase in April of last year. We also have several departmental morale boosters. We do an employee appreciation celebration every quarter. From everything to, we hand out awards. We acknowledge them for anything they've gone above and beyond with, as well as attendance, outstanding performance, any honorable mentions, commendations, those types of things. And we do that every single quarter, where we go and just speak to staff and let them know how much we appreciate them and the job that they do each and every day to serve our citizens. We also have a shout-out wall, which anyone can shout out their coworker, their supervisor, because I feel that the positive, or the recognition shouldn't just come from upper management. We want it to come from our staff as well. So in essence, they're giving each other a high five or kudos for a job well done in certain areas. So we have a shout out wall with all those things, all of the awards listed, and also a wall of fame, which is the emergency dispatcher of the month. For every month, they have a parking space they can utilize. So we use that as a morale booster as well. I have the call statistics so far for 2025. So we started the year off, with the end of December, our service level was 54%. So the national standard is that we will answer 90% of our calls within 15 seconds. So we started out at 54% at the end of December. In January of 2025, we took 51,116 calls, which had a service level of 61%. A lot of that was heavily related to the ice storms that we had in January. In February, 44,735 calls at a service level of 74%. March, 51,448 calls at a service level of 75%. We maintained that same service level for the month of April, answering 49,933 911 calls. And then for May, we answered 53,997 calls at a service level of 65%. So with the service level going down for the month of May, we had some 12 new call takers or new hires that started their on-the-job phase of training. So of course, with them being newer employees, it took some time for them to get acclimated with the phone system and answering calls and those sorts of things. So it takes longer for them to process call versus a seasoned operator. Through June 24th, from June 1st to June 24th, we have taken 40,702 calls at a 72% service level. So we do see our service level heading back up in the right direction since those newer call takers have gotten some experience with processing calls. So in reference to the
We have a question. Go ahead, Commissioner Johnson Davis.
The service level, is that dependent upon answering the call within the 15 seconds?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I have a question on this slide as well. So I see that, so February, March, April, you're hovering about the 75%.
Yes.
But in January, we're at the 61%. So what attributed to that big jump? Did you have more, was that another situation where you had new caller or operators come on and now they were acclimated, kind of like you see between May and June? Just curious.
Yes, a little of everything. We did have newer call takers because we've had classes about every quarter. So we were releasing some of those call takers, so now they're able to take calls independently. So now we have not just their call taker, the trainer available to take calls, now we have the trainee available to take calls. So we can utilize two people instead of one. As they become more acclimated with, once they become more acclimated, they're able to take calls independently.
And you said training is about every quarter, so we can kind of see that. We might see that as a trend where that quarter where training's happening, the service level may go down a little bit, but then it could
Yes.
click back up. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sure.
And one follow-up. And the 130, are we at where you see we should be?
Traditionally, centers our size that process about 900,000 calls. Some of the larger centers, of course, have more, ranging from 140 to 160 with some of the neighboring agencies. So according to our size and the call volume that we process, from what we've been able to look at, about 160 is where we should be for a county our size. I think Atlanta's at 166. Gwinnett 147, if I remember correctly. So,
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Commissioner Patrick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Swain, if you could just remind me, what is the goal or the expectation? Answer calls within the first 15 seconds? What's
90% of calls should be answered
90%.
within the 15 seconds, which is a national standard across 911 centers.
Okay. It looks, at least for February, March, and April, pretty consistent at 75%. It is, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but based on what you just said, does it seem like additional staffing is needed for the department?
We do need additional staffing, but the dip kind of in May was we had new call takers that got released to training at the end of May.
Understood.
And it takes them a little longer to get acclimated to the system versus, of course, someone who's more seasoned.
Understood. Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Director Swain.
You're welcome.
Okay, were there any more questions from commissioners? Okay, go ahead, please.
And just to update everyone, again, or refresh from the previous presentation, the next generation 911 phone system upgrade encompasses two different parts. The first part is EZNet, which is the Emergency Services Internet. And that part, it does provide a dedicated network for public safety only, for all data. We did change all of our phone lines from traditional lines over to voice over IP lines, which will allow us to receive data faster. It also is scalable. So in an event that we would have to relocate any other 911 center in the state that has EZNet, we can transfer calls back and forth. So depending on if it's a smaller event or a large event where we have to evacuate, or if we're just having issues when in any specific area, for instance, any of the cities, or it may be the area of Atlanta that lies in DeKalb. It could be something we can transfer those calls over to the city of Atlanta or DeKalb County. They have EZNet as well. So the system is scalable. It does have built-in location accuracy, and it does have redundancy built in and a failover system. So it has to be online, what's called the rule of 5 nines. 99.999% of the time our system has to be up, and it does also have a failover as well, a backup. The second portion of the next generation telephone upgrade is the answering platform, is how we process calls. And some of the features of that system will be the ability to send and receive pictures and videos, and those pictures and videos can also be sent to our responders in the field to give them better situational awareness, as well as provide any information they may need from fire or EMS or police. So we're able to send that information over to them. We have a feature called administrative triage. So the goal is to minimize the call volume received by the 911 center that can be answered in another way. So for instance, with administrative triage, if someone needs animal control, if they're trying to find out how to pay a ticket, we can have that set up in IVR. Well, you can press 1 for this, 2 for whatever agency or department you may need before that call ever gets to an operator. A lot of times, especially during the daytime hours, we answer a lot of administrative calls, and a lot of them are questions, or they need information of how to everything from how do I find out what day I go to court to how to get a copy of a police report. So that information we can have automated, and then that way that's one less call that that particular operator will have to take. That the system will handle the processing of that call itself. The other feature is emergency triage, which is for 911 lines. And in emergency triage, what that does is if there's an accident, and I was just 285 in La Vista, right outside of our building. If 285 in La Vista has an accident there, if someone calls and they're in the same geographic location, the system will ask or let them know we already received the call, and we'll also ask them if they still need to speak to an operator. So if they do not, then that call never comes to the 911 center. So that helps to control the call volume spikes, because with accidents or any incident on the interstate, of course, everyone calls 911, which causes those call volume spikes. So this helps to minimize those, because it will literally take the location, your GIS location. If it is near an incident, it will ask you if you're calling in reference to that incident. And if you are, it will ask if you still need to speak with an operator. And if you do, then you'll come to, your call will be presented to the call taker. And if not, then we receive the information and the next call will come through. It does also have precise location accuracy built in, which helps to decrease those misrouted calls, especially in those areas where we have those city boundaries, Kirkwood, those areas. It will help to determine the correct 911 center that those calls should go to. It also has translation and transcription services. So with translation, of course, we use a third party. as soon as the caller starts speaking, once received the 911 call, it'll automatically translate whatever language they are speaking. So there's no need to go through a third party unless it's a language that the system does not recognize. So that cuts down on transfer times, any time that we may be on hold for the language service provider. All of that is minimized because as soon as the caller starts speaking, it recognizes its language and translate. And then as soon as we speak, it'll translate back to the caller in their respective language. Also provides transcription, kind of like closed captioning. Every word that they speak will be on the screen. And it kind of helps the call taker to actually, especially with different dialects, understand more of what words they're saying. So the system continues to learn and grow as we receive more calls, different dialects. It learns, and then it is able to take that information and provide the words on the screen for the operators as well. We also will have the ability to reroute non-emergency calls that are received on 911 lines, which is, it happens a lot. We receive a lot of or calls that are not true emergencies on 911. So this will give the call takers the ability to take those calls and place them in a non-emergency queue so that they can go ahead and process the next call, which may be a true emergency. So we will also have that ability as well. And just to kind of give an overview of the process and how we've been since October of last year when we started the implementation process. We had our first kickoff meeting in October 2024. We do have biweekly meetings. We have our GIS match rate. We have to reach a 98% match rate, but we've already reached 95%. So we're doing well, and we have another update that'll take us to 98%. That we're processing currently. The new equipment inside the communication center. So underneath the console, we have all of the, of course, equipment that connects everything. 50% of that has already been completed. We have 48 positions in the call center. So half of those have already been completed with the upgraded equipment that's needed for the new phone system. Servers, routers, all the other hardware that's needed have been installed, and we're already receiving data, sending and receiving data, so we can actually get two-way data right now. We also have laptops, so one of the goals that we have is to ensure that no matter where we are, we're still able to deliver 911 services to our citizens. So if we have to relocate, we wanted to make sure that no matter where we go, we're able to still process 911 calls effectively. So with the laptops, it has the software on the system, on the laptop, and we can take that to our backup center at Burgess and utilize it the same way that we would if we were sitting in a communications center.
When do you anticipate the remainder of the new equipment being installed?
Within the next week or two. They're
okay.
every single day, putting in new equipment, taking out old equipment and taking old equipment out and putting new equipment in. So yeah, AT&T is literally there at least 3 or 4 days a week on swapping out equipment.
Does that in any way impact staff, the number of staff available? Do you have to understaff a little bit just so AT&T, I don't know how long it takes for them to set up and install, or are you fully staffed throughout the duration of them coming in and out?
We're fully staffed throughout the duration. The new equipment does not affect the current costs that they're taking.
Okay.
So it's just a replacement to put the equipment in, the jack connectors, the data cables. It puts them in, but it's not connected yet, so it doesn't affect any of the current costs that they're taking.
You go ahead.
We're also having the conversation. We've had meetings with our third-party vendors with our CAD, which is our computer-aided dispatch system, and as well as our recorder systems to make sure that everything transitions the way that it should on our go-live date. We want to make sure that, so we call it a spillover. Once someone calls 911 and it comes into the phone system, it carries over to the CAD, which is the computer system where we enter the calls at. So once the information is transferred over, we want to make sure that that transition is not affected when we go live. So we've already had those conversations with our vendors. They're already familiar with this type of transition, and we don't anticipate any issues there, as well as with our recorder system. We want to make sure that as we're moving the systems over, several positions at a time to the new phone system, we don't lose any audio or any recordings that we have. So we've also had those conversations with that vendor to ensure that that does not occur. So we want to make sure that when we transition over, that it's a smooth transition. We're still able to have the same capabilities as well as no loss of our audio recordings as well. Any of our pre-cutover tasks are complete. Features have been selected. Any peripheral equipment, handsets, headsets, jacks, all that stuff has already been selected. So all of those items are complete. And we do have an operational readiness testing that'll be completed the week of July 28th. And that just makes sure everything is the way that it's supposed to be as far as us communicating with the cloud and where our data will be stored, as well as EZNet. Everything's able to communicate. We can actually send and receive calls. We have test systems already set up, or test positions set up, so that we can make sure that we can send and receive calls the week before we go, or 2 weeks before we go live.
Will that include a soft launch of real-time calls or taking live calls, or the launch date will be the first time that we take live calls using the new system?
The launch date will be the first time that we take live 911 calls using the new system, but we place calls on a secondary line through 911 between AT&T. They'll make sure that they place a call that we were able to receive and answer it on the other end.
Okay.
So it's like a dedicated line just for testing.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. So with this readiness and sounds like everything's on track and going well. With the new system, will it require additional training?
Yes.
And is that an ongoing training, or is it a certain date that once everything's in, people be trained on the new system?
It's a two-part training. About 85% of our employees have already completed the online portion of the training. We have a few left that may have been on leave or other things, so we're getting them by the end of next week. Actually, they're supposed to have their training done. So the online training comes first to get them familiar with the system, and then we have on-site training scheduled for the week of August the 4th through the 8th.
And then how was the scheduling of the training happening? Was that pull them away from the calls during their normal shift, or did they need to come in after hours to get some of that training in?
So the day shift will stay over 2 hours, and then the night shift will come in 2 hours early.
So some overtime was?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And the goal was not to take away from any of the staff that are processing 911 calls. We wanted to do this so that it does not negatively affect our call volume or our ability to answer 911 calls. And we're doing the training as well that week before. We don't want to do it too early and then they forget. So we don't want to do it too far in advance. We're doing it the week before, that week of the 4th through the 8th, so it'll still be fresh in their minds. So, and then that training is also available. So it's called Learning Academy. And that Learning Academy, all the information, all the videos, all the simulations is available for them for forever. We don't take it away just because we go live. It's something that'll be available to them to assess at any time. So if it's something they forget, they're able to go back in and view that particular video. Or we already have quick reference guides and things like that, a user manual that we'll have on each console. So if they have any questions, they also have those to refer to.
And that's a good point. I know there's a system at my job that we got trained on over a year ago, but the transition hasn't completed yet. So all that knowledge is out the window, but
Right.
yes.
And then, of course, we have an updated tentative go-live date of August 13th. So that is the date. We had a meeting on Tuesday. That is the final date for the cutover. So pending no major issues, which everything is on track, we should not go beyond that date. But the goal is to meet that August 13th date. Again, pending any major issues, we will go live on that particular date. And all vendors, AT&T will be there, our CAD vendor, our recording vendor, as well as the training team are all on site that whole entire week to assist in any way they can.
Nice.
So we do have support for cutover and beyond to make sure that if it's any issue, somebody's there to address that issue.
On the same 24/7 cycle that our employees are on, they will be available?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions or
It always happens at night when nobody's there.
doesn't it? Any other questions or comments from committee members, commissioners? No, and I'd like to also note that District 3 Commissioner Nicole Messiah has joined us as well. So if there are no other, oh, go ahead, Commissioner Terry.
Yes, I just wanted to note that the administration in their mid-year budget amendment is requesting $2 million additional budget due to overtime. And is that, and it says trending over budget. So the $2 million that are being requested, is that something that's urgent, or is it just like at some point this year you need this?
Well, yes, okay, so to get through the remainder of the year, we'll need that additional support, the $2 million, to be able to have the overtime there to train staff, so that we will have the staff there to work independently in whatever capacity, whether it's a 911 operator or a dispatcher.
Okay, so what I heard was this year, so the goal is this $2 million is requesting to be approved for at some point this year.
Yes.
That's correct, that's correct. Ideally, in the next 30 days, the intent would be in 2026 to be able to, scale back now that we're fully staffed. We'll have the new system on board, notwithstanding what Director Swain just mentioned, the need for additional staff, so we're finally at the point, and we've done a great job in staffing to the funded positions, but what we're determining is that we may need more positions, which is why overtime is so high. But we are anticipating, once the next Gen 911 system comes in, that may create some it will create some more efficiencies, but we certainly need this to get through the balance of this year.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Terry. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? All right, thank you so much, Director Swain.
Thank you.
All right, moving along in our agenda, let me see, we have a few minutes left. Moving along in our agenda, we're going to go ahead and start reading through these contracts. So with the Human Resources and Merit Systems, we have an item 20250808. This is for all commission districts. This is a renewal contract number 1354714 for pre and post employment hazmat, physical examinations, and drug and alcohol testing services. This is an annual contract with 4 options to renew. For use by the Department of Human Resources and Merit System, this contract consists of providing post-offer pre-employment and fitness for duty physicals to candidates for employment and/or employees. This request seeks to ratify a previously provided contract term increase. This request also seeks to exercise the first renewal option through May 31st, 2026, awarded to Occupational Health Centers of Georgia, PC, DBA, Concentra Medical Centers, amount not to exceed $664,985. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Benita Ransom, HR Director, and as you indicated, we currently have a contract with Concentra for our pre-employment physicals and post-employment physicals, and the contract is for 1 year with 4 renewal options, and we are seeking your authority to exercise the first renewal option.
Okay. And just to confirm, this is to both, it says ratify a previous contract term and the renewal. It seeks to do both of those things.
Right. The ratification is there was a slight misunderstanding as to when the contract started or ended. HR thought the contract period started in July, but it actually started May 31st is when procurement issued the notice to proceed.
Okay.
So the ratification is from May 31st to now, when we've been paying expenses. So we're kind of asking you to retroactively approve that.
Gotcha. Any questions or comments from committee members? No. Commissioner Terry?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Director Ransom, what is the different testing regime for current employees for safety-sensitive positions versus non-safety sensitive positions?
All new hires, as you know, go through a pre-employment physical, which includes the drug testing. And then, once beyond that, then we continue to test the safety sensitive. There are about 3,700 employees that we consider safety sensitive. And those are police, fire, sanitation, watershed, marshal, sheriff, E911, medical examiners, as well as people who hold CDL licenses. And
Yes.
so
I
they
think that's
are,
governed by state law, is that right?
yes,
Yep.
especially the ones with the CDL, that's DOT, Department of Transportation.
Okay. So basically, once an employee is hired, there are no more random drug tests for non-safety sensitive positions?
For non-safety sensitive, there are 3,700 safety sensitive, 3,200 are non-DOT, and 500 are DOT.
Okay.
The non-DOT, which is the non-safety sensitive, are your crew workers, refuse collectors, and of course, police, fire, and that group.
Okay. If someone was applying to work for DeKalb County, they failed the drug test for marijuana, but had a medical marijuana card, what is the policy?
A card, well, should I have Dominique here? If you have a prescription, then, and you're not in a safety sensitive, then your employment is not impacted.
Right, so,
But this is Dominique, he is over the occupational compliance that handles all of the drug testing.
right, so the medical marijuana card is different from having a prescription for medical marijuana. If you have a prescription for any drug, including marijuana, it would be negative testing. If you just have a card on the state's website, it lets you know that that's just your preference. You choose to use it. It's not prescribed to you by any medical provider. So you would, if you have a medical card and you testing positive, you will be refraining from duty and take any disciplinary action that's inside
If you
the
have a
county.
prescription, you don't. You have a prescription.
Yeah, if you have a prescription, it's a negative test.
Right.
Okay. And has that happened before?
Yes, we had
For a prescription?
for a prescription. Yes,
Yes.
we've had a person who was prescribed
One?
just a single person.
Okay. All right.
Most people try to use medical marijuana cards, which
Okay.
we don't allow.
Well, I mean, I guess the next question would be, do applicants know that?
I would
Doing the-
assume so. I'm not sure what.
Well,
they-
so as an example, we're having a big hiring event in a couple of weeks. Is there any documentation when folks seek to apply and be hired on site that they actually understand the extent of the drug testing regimen for non-safety sensitive positions?
So I'm only able to speak to employees.
Okay, let me speak to this. So you're saying if we're having a job fair, does someone know that the card is not the same as having a medical prescription? That's what you're saying? Probably not.
Okay. I would recommend we do that. I mean, we have a lot of, the CEO's made a big effort to say, come work for DeKalb. We know for a fact that the vast majority of young people, and it used to be millennials, but now it's just millennials and Gen Z and I think Gen Y or something, they won't even apply to work in government because of the drug testing. Not for crack cocaine, for marijuana. And we're in a medical marijuana state. So I would submit that if we're trying to hire people, and this is like related to the pension question, we have an above average pension age. If we hire more young people, that actually strengthens our pension. So we just need to be like thinking about policies that actually say, if you're in that demographic, which the vast majority have said they won't even apply, we actually communicate that we have a policy that says simply what you're already doing, which is great.
Yeah, point well made. And in fact, we are having a job fair, a big job fair on July 10th, and we will make sure that we have that information available. Point made.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions or comments from commissioners? All righty, thank you so much. So do we have a motion for this item?
Yes, ma'am. I move to approve item 2025-0808.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Director Ransom, don't leave just yet. I'm gonna put you on the spot just a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and jump down to Item 20250600. This is a District 7 item, and this item is to adopt a resolution and department new hire checklist creating a formal onboarding process for DeKalb departments. And I just want to have you up here in the event that we have any questions. But I do want to remind the commissioners that this item, after doing some review, HR found that not all departments had an onboarding process. And so what we sought to do was to provide for a smooth transition when we have employees, new hires coming on, make sure we have a consistent transfer of knowledge, improve productivity, efficiency, compliance, and service. And so the HR department, under the leadership of Director Ransom, had already, prior to the resolution, come up with a checklist, in which it is in our binders. And I think at the time that it was presented, you told us that the checklist was already required. Did you require it already?
Yes, it is part of CB 360. Yeah, right. We took your recommendation under advisement, and we have put it in place, and all department are using it. So whenever a new hire comes is hired in a department, the hiring agent has to complete the checklist. So the supervisor or department head, they sign the checklist as well as the employee. It's part of CB 360.
And so this resolution just seeks to support what has been put in place through the findings of the HR department. And realizing this is the first time that we've had an opportunity to discuss the resolution, but not the first time that we've heard a presentation on the checklist. I wanted to, if you guys had any feedback on the resolution, if we could discuss that currently. If not, to be quite honest, I'm ready for a motion on it since it's already actively being implemented. Any questions or comments from commissioners?
Did you say it was in the book?
Yes, ma'am. It's the very last page, couple pages of the ERPS section.
And Commissioner, let me add, it is part of the hiring process for the administration. Departments under the purview of the CEO. So,
Madam Chair. may
Go
I ask
ahead,
a-
Commissioner Patrick.
Thank you. So the CEO's office is comfortable with this?
we've been doing it.
Been doing, okay,
Yeah.
well,
Since I think April, I think it was
Yeah,
presented in
right.
April. So it's been active. Commissioner Messiah.
Just so I'm clear, as it relates to Justice Department webpage, so that's just essentially they need to have a familiarity with the department webpage?
I'm
On
trying to
on
understand the
checklist,
question.
I'm sorry. So just, I'm reviewing the department checklist for the new hire onboarding. And I mean, there isn't like a sentence beforehand that states that each employee should be familiar with the following. It just goes into department organizational chart, but I'm presuming that the implication is that the idea is that people would be familiar with these items listed on the checklist. And so we get to department webpage. So that's just the requirement that the new hire be versed or familiar or have the ability to navigate to whatever their department webpage is. Or I just want to understand it just a little bit more, just trying to comprehend.
Yes, it is the department webpage.
Okay. So just that they need to be more familiar with it.
Right, they need to understand the organizational structure of their department. You know, who they report to, the department policies for calling in, calling out, taking vacation.
Okay, thank you. So I would suggest just, if I could, Madam Chair, a friendly amendment, which after the manager's name and before we get into the checklist, that it states that each new hire, just a quick simple sentence, each new hire as a part of onboarding be familiar with the following, add some colon, and then, you know, list the checklist, just so that it's, you know, it's clear as to what's being articulated here.
understood. You get the direction she's
Yes,
going
there are a
in?
list of items on the checklist, so you want us to outline all of those items.
No, just
If I could reiterate, she's just saying a sentence before the checklist that says each new hire employee should be trained in and proficient in the following, and then
Sure,
just a header sentence.
not a problem.
Okay. Commissioner Johnson?
So just question on the item before us, and appreciating the friendly amendment from Commissioner Messiah. But the resolution, would that amendment to the checklist, which is actually created by the HR department, is that specifically attached to the resolution, or our resolution that's before us now is just supporting the work that they are doing?
So, really what's up for discussion is the resolution saying that we're in support of this, or we are reaffirming because a BOC member kind of initiated and jump-started the process for this. So it's fair just to review the checklist and make a recommendation, but we're not necessarily attempting to alter the checklist. But if there were specific concerns about us supporting the checklist is what the resolution is stating.
Understood, thank you.
And I have
Did you have a follow-up, Commissioner Johnson? Okay, Commissioner Davis Johnson.
So, when would they be, what is the time frame on the new hire for familiarizing themselves with this? Is it before the hire, after the hire? And
It is part of the new hire process. It's part of the onboarding. So when you bring somebody on now, there are a series of things that you have to do before you actually, your second day of work. So starting your second day of work, you have to complete all of these things.
and that's for the department, not the new hire.
That is for the new hire who is being assigned to a department. That is for the new hire who is being assigned to a department. If somebody were to come to work in HR, on their first day, they go to NEO. Part of that whole process, there's a list of things that you have to do, a lot of paperwork you have to sign, and you have to attest that you've gotten certain documents. This new hire checklist is part of that process. So by the second day, all of that should have been completed.
Okay, so they will get a printed version of this, or would they be directed to go? I'm just trying to get an understanding. On my first hire, I'm going to read the Organizational Act.
No, you don't. It's just making sure that you understand your department and you know how your department works. So it's electronic document that is in CV360 that you have to acknowledge that these things have been provided to you. There's a list of things, and you have to acknowledge that they have been given to you by your hiring manager.
Oh, okay. And when you say given in or discussed, because if
Yes,
you go
given or
online-
discussed, yes.
Yeah, okay, then I got it.
Yes, given or discussed.
Okay, I thought they had to, I thought they had to go through all of this in one day, and I was saying that's, yeah, I understand.
That did prompt me to prompt a question. I know when I did, and my team, because we all did the HR process, and we would get prompts for the different trainings electronically that we should complete. Will they get a prompt for this as well? Is that how it's been working, or is it just in their inbox to say needs to be completed?
Yes, they will get. The intent is for the hiring manager or someone or designee to make sure that the new hire gets everything that is on that checklist or discussed.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? All righty. Do we have a motion for this item?
Yes, ma'am, I move to approve item 2025-0600 with the suggested friendly amendment to the checklist, but not the resolution.
Thank you for that clarity. Do we have a second?
Okay, but now in the resolution, it includes this checklist. So is that, because the language in the resolution states, whereas the Human Resource Department has recently developed a standardized new hire onboarding checklist to ensure. So the resolution includes this checklist. So if the checklist is modified or changed, would you need another resolution?
No, it's indicated as a draft only and a point of reference at the top of the checklist. A draft and point of reference. Well, it says draft, but it's a point of reference so that you don't have to go back and look for the item in the system to review.
So Commissioner Johnson, I was thinking that the language that was recommended by Commissioner Messiah was for the resolution. No, you want that language to,
Yeah, so I know you don't have a copy with
I
you.
don't,
I
but-
can share mine.
Would you read the second paragraph? Does it say, if you change it, I think it needs to be,
Keeping the rest the same.
okay, that's fine. All right. Understood.
So, Madam Chair,
Oh, do we have a second?
yeah, I said that we had a second, but,
Okay.
and I had a question following that, and that is, I recently developed a standardized new high onboarding checklist to ensure a consistent, okay. So it can't be changed and modified without a new resolution. That's what I'm asking.
Absolutely.
Okay. So if we good with that, I'm good with it. So my second stands.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you guys so much, and we really appreciate you, Director Ransom.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, let's see, we
Everybody's not.
have
Yeah.
just a few minutes remaining.
Madam Chair, I don't think we have enough time to get through the last three items, but certainly would be willing to give to 3:45 and then reassess where we are.
Okay.
And have the conversations if that would help.
Yeah, so the remaining three items, yeah, will probably be an extended discussion, so we can continue to hold those in committee. And those items are 0583, 1233, and 0390, if there is no objection to holding those. Okay. All right, well, do we have a motion to go ahead and end ERPS for today?
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.